One of the wonderful things about Sweden is there's a lot of open nature. There's a lot of parks, there's a lot of greenery. It's really interesting. In America, you'd think we're going out in the forest, we're going to see cabins, maybe. We might see some sort of shelter, but like the biggest thing you'd see is a cabin or a house, something like that. You don't expect to see an apartment building sitting out in the middle of nowhere. But in Sweden, you will run into that. Be going through the forest, and on your right, you'll see an apartment building in the middle of nowhere. And it's really interesting how they do that. But Swedes are very conservative well, not conservative, they're very sensitive to nature. They really appreciate nature and don't want those things to get ruined or go away. And so nature is something that's very important to them. There's beautiful landscapes, lots of places to camp, lots of hiking, biking, wonderful things. One thing specific to Stockholm is the archipelago that's around Stockholm. It's beautiful. We weren't allowed to go there on a private boat, but they do have a boat bus that takes you from central Stockholm out to this island where a lot of members live at in the Stockholm ward. And so we got to take that once and see a few of the islands and the beautiful landscape that is in the Stockholm archipelago. As a result of Swedes really liking this nature, they try to be very friendly to the environment by recycling a lot. I remember going to one of my areas and you had to separate literally everything. You had your burnable waste in one place, your white paper in another place, colored paper in another place, newspapers in a third place. Envelopes had to be separate. They were in the burning pile. You had your light plastics in one place, your plastic containers in another place. You had colored glass, clear glass, aluminum, or not aluminum, but like metal cans and metal packaging, batteries, scrap metal, CDs and DVDs. They separated everything though. It seemed a little excessive to me, but it's because they really care about the environment and want it to flourish and not die. And it's a really interesting thing because now as I've come back home, I see myself trying to sort things, and we don't quite have the same opportunity here in America to recycle like they do in Sweden because of the way things are set up here. One of the great things that also comes as a part of this environmental friendliness is the public transportation system. And it's really good in Stockholm. In all of my areas, I used buses at least once. One of my areas, we did have a car that was our primary mode of transportation, but there's a tricky situation. We ended up taking a bus to get from one city to another. But for the most part, it was public transportation that I used in Sweden. A lot of trains, buses, subways, different things like that. I once took a boat to get to an island called Visby. If you ever transfer out there, the island's called Gotland, the city there is called Visby. If you ever transfer there though, you will be taking a boat to get over there. And it's not the most exciting ride, although it is a beautiful place and completely worth it. But the public transportation system works really well. You have timetables, maps. It's a good thing to learn how to use. If you don't know how to navigate a city map, you should probably look up a map and start working on that. It's not hard. You really can look at what you're looking for on the side. It'll have like a little key, and then you find the place that you're looking for and you look on the grid, and it'll have it labeled like F6. And so you look at F6, just like in Battleship, and it's right there, what you're looking for. One other important thing about Sweden is what they call sambo. It's a big thing in their culture. A lot of Swedish people aren't married but live together. And they'll probably have lived together for a few years, potentially 40 or 50. Yeah, it was weird for me at first, but I see the reasoning once I learned about the legal things, the logistics about marriage and becoming sambo in Sweden. What they'll basically do is they'll get an agreement though that's saying we're going to live together and here's how our assets are going to be divided in case we break off this agreement. And you'll have people having kids together and outside of wedlock because they live together. And a lot of things along that line stem from that. There's also a very high tolerance for homosexuality. In fact, it's even promoted. not just an option, but it's good to be gay in Sweden. It's very different from what a lot of us are used to in more conservative parts of the United States, where being gay is very much looked down on as something that's not okay. It's not okay to act on that, rather. But Swedes are very accepting towards homosexuality and very much promote it. They have gay pride parades frequently and have a holiday dedicated to gay pride.